We'll start out with questions for Ty. Who do we have with a mic, and who wants to go first? Question for Ty Dillon to start things out. Kelly Crandall, award-winning.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Ty, so you've made it. You're at the cup level. This is where you want to be. So I know it's exciting, and we always hear that. But when you sit down and think about it, what does it mean now to be at this level?
Yeah, it means a lot, obviously, growing up in this sport and being around my heroes. We're all cup drivers my whole life. And once I got into racing, knowing that this is what my goal was and this is where I wanted to be, that moment when the deal was done to officially be driving for Germain Racing in the Geico 13 car and have my shot at the Monster Energy Cup Series was surreal. I remember driving down the road and first called my wife and told her it's a done deal and just started bawling on the phone. Then called my mom and bawled. I was just just to have this opportunity. To me, I love this sport, and to get a chance to be one of the top drivers and chase my dream. I know you say I've made it, which was obviously a big moment for me in my life, but I still have a lot to accomplish. And going off kind of what my hero, my grandfather, said the other night, he feels like he still hasn't made it, and that's kind of how I feel. I'm not going to be satisfied till I win races and win championships, and then maybe be back here like he was.
Another question for Ty. Looks like Bob Pockers.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. What will it be like to be on a single car team?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. I can't find you. These lights are.
He's right down.
Lights are so. Okay, there you go. I can't hardly see. It's to be a part of the single car team is going to be different. And growing up, being around a multi-car team and program my whole life, you kind of learn the ins and outs of how that works. But I still feel like there's going to be the best of both worlds for me, because we are strongly connected with RCR Racing, with our technical alliance. So we're still going to have that multi-car feel, but also be able to separate ourselves and being that we are just Germain Racing, the 113 team. So it's nice to have a little bit of our own identity, for me to have my own identity too. And I think it'll help the growth of both programs, myself and the team.
Stan, and then back in the back. So if you get, Don Stan, and then we'll get that.
Don Gamble, Rapping on Racing. I've watched your success in NASCAR. There's no doubt you're going to be a superstar. I'm guessing, though, when you want to relax, you go out to Volusia, get in one of those dirt cars, and the winning continues. Is that your relaxation?
It has been for the past, 5 or 6 years. That's where we go to kind of, knock off the rust and go start winning races, get that mindset going. This year will be the first year that we're actually not going to run our modifieds at Volusia, so a little bit bittersweet. We kind of moved on with our dirt program, and just we're so busy, myself and Austin, in our lives right now, and our schedules are getting heavier and heavier. I think this season, with the amount of Xfinity races I'm going to do, I have like one off weekend, so and I kind of need to extend this off season a little bit longer. And make sure I make time for my family and other obligations too. Thank you.
Stan.
Yeah, Stan Creekmore with Outside the Box. Will you be involved with the team in a role other than just a driver?
I think my whole career, I keep saying it, but growing up in the situation that I did, being around racing my whole life, the great drivers always put themselves in more of a role than just a driver. I think you got to be a team leader, a motivator, and someone who keeps pushing the team in the right direction of what you see. And all the great drivers who have come through RCR have done that. So when I even being a rookie going to a new team, I want to keep pushing the positivity and become a leader and a positive motivation to getting better.
Keith McFarland Review over here. From the experience that you've had so far in racing, what's kind of been the unexpected fun that you've experienced? And on the same token, what's been the unexpected challenges that have come with it?
I think the unexpected fun, some of the things that when you're kind of coming up through the ranks in the sport, when you're looking at where you want to be and the things that will happen to you once you get to the higher levels of racing, the media and sponsor obligations, it kind of gets casted on you at a younger age that, man, they're just kind of frustrating, but you have to get through them. But as I grow in the sport, I find those more fun, being able to interact with fans, and I love that now, like being able to meet my fans through social media or at autograph sessions or different fun things to get involved, whether it's sponsors or whatnot. I think that's fun now, and I always thought that was going to be something that wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. I knew racing was going to be fun because that's what I love to do. So there wasn't anything in the racing side of it that's been surprisingly. I love it. But the the interaction and having the great fans, the young kids that I get to meet at the racetrack, because it feels like it wasn't too long ago that I was that young kid at the racetrack that was walking around the garage just begging for the attention of any of the drivers. And when I get to see a kid in the garage, I can see me. And when I can shake their hand or sign something for them, that spark that lit up in me when I was a kid, I can see it in them, and that's what it's all about for me.
Zach.
Yep, Zach Albert, NASCAR.com. Ty, how do you assess this year's rookie class and with you and racing alongside Daniel Suarez and Aric Jones as you have for a few years now?
Yeah, it's a great rookie class, and the thing is, all three of us are similar in a lot of ways in the way we approach racing. We were just doing the rookie seminar together, and we all have an understanding of each other on the racetrack. We go hard on the racetrack, and that's kind of all three of our driving styles. Is every lap we race hard, and I think it's going to be an exciting rookie race. I feel like people have kind of put us a little bit on the back burner, me and Germain Racing, and I think they're going to be a little bit more surprised than what they think.
What's one of the things that, if you could tell that little Ty Dillon, when he was racing bandos and watching Grandpa and being in Victory Lane with Dale Sr. and stuff, that is even cooler than you thought it would be now that you are at this level? What's even more exciting and better now?
I just think, like I said, with the fans, and I never knew how much satisfaction that would help with my career, meeting the people who are dedicated to watching me and big fans of me. You always dream of having fans, but you never dream of the impact that they actually have on your life and your racing career. So I think that's something that I would have maybe given myself a little heads up on and to be excited about instead of just being complacent about, I guess.
Question?
Dan Langford with NBC Sports. Ty, you only have one win in the Xfinity Series. Will you be doing any Xfinity Series racing this year? And what makes you know that you're ready for this occasion and this level of racing? Because in my heart, I feel like I'm the best driver. And if I didn't have that kind of confidence, I wouldn't be driving race cars. So I knew I was ready for this opportunity, and I've proved in different situations. Obviously, the wins weren't what we wanted in the Xfinity Series the past couple of years, but we were also growing as a team and changing as a team at RCR, had a lot of different things going on. We will win Xfinity races this year, I can guarantee you that. We got a lot of great things going on, a lot of positive momentum with that side of the program. To answer the first part of the question, I'm going to be running 20 Xfinity races this year, so pretty hefty schedule on that side too. I think it's there's just 6 that I can't do, so we're not done over there on that side. Got a lot of races to win yet.
About one more question. Who's got it? Oh, got Jenna. Or she's ordering more pizza. No, we're good. She's got a question.
It is food related.
Okay.
Your wife's cakes, how good are they? And is that something she wants to do?
Yeah, for sure. So it's funny how the whole thing started. It was my mom's birthday, and she was like, I want to do a cake for your mom. I was like, okay, cool. And she went and bought the stuff, and we did it, and we laughed so hard at that first cake. It was like 2 layered, but they were so wonky and off to the side. And but she put some flowers and stuff, and I was like, you made that look pretty. And she was like, I think I could do this. And so she just started doing another cake, and then people started asking about them. And then it kind of blew up really quick, and I was like, I hope you enjoy making cakes because this might be a thing. And I think she's really wanting to make something out of that because she's enjoying doing it. And she's been doing cakes for people's daughters and kids. And so it's been really fun. And I think once her honeybee season gets over with, she's going to really kind of start focusing in on that. And it's awesome. I love that she has something that she's got going on and that I can support her with too.
Thank you, Ty.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? She's super fast. She's a good video editor, too.
Well, we look forward to trying some of that, and thank you for spending time with us,
guys.
Ty Dillon.
We'll
We
see.
got Jamie Mack coming up, the driver of Chip Ganassi's #1 car, Jamie McMurray. Oh, he's loving that. First question.
I didn't hear that. I think I'm thankful.
Yep. First question for Jamie. Here we go.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Hi, Jamie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good.
I've been asking a lot of people, but if you could just talk about the new format, the championship, and
What'd they do?
what you think.
Just kidding. Just kidding. So, is Utter in here? It's too bad, because I was going to compliment him. I thought, I heard his description of why he liked the change on the radio this morning, and I really hadn't thought about that. And what he said that really resonated with me is that our sport was 500-mile races, 600-mile races. It was all about being able to make it to the end. And even when I first started racing, at a track like Martinsville, you would always have at least one car run out of brakes, maybe more. Somebody always broke a rear gear. It seemed like every race there was someone at a 1.5-mile track that would blow up, maybe two people, and if it was an engine builder, maybe all those engines would blow up in the race. So we just don't have that anymore, right? Like our cars are so good now. The engines are so good. We don't have many engine failures, a few a year. Nobody really runs out of brakes at Martinsville anymore. We don't tend to break gears. So I like the idea because it's changed, and I think we needed the same change to happen. I've heard the word exciting. I think that's just the easiest way to explain it. But I like the strategy that's going to come from the format. And the best way to describe that is if we go to a track that it rains a lot and they have to have a competition caution, it's great when the caution happens to fall 10 laps before that because you get some strategy. You get people that put tires on. Sometimes the leaders don't. If it's a track that tires are really important, it creates a little bit of excitement, right? I mean, you have guys that are a lot of passing going on. Then the caution comes out 10 laps later, and you get to see if those guys all pit. Did they make up enough ground? So I like the fact that we're going to have that every week. I also like the fact that the plate races, I have been on the side of riding in the back. It might be one of the most boring things in your life to ride 7 seconds behind a pack at Daytona or Talladega just to get in a wreck at the end, right? Even though you've done all the right things, you still get caught up in the wreck. I like that the duels and the races are going to pay for the segments. I also like the fact at any track that we go to, if you run really well all day long, you're rewarded for that. And if for some reason your engine does blow up or you get caught up in a wreck at the end, if you ran well all day long, you're going to get something out of that. And I think that is, I can't find anything, any negative side to it.
Next question. Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, SB Nation. Jamie, we know Jamie is not always the most popular driver among fans because of this success. Among his competitors, though, his fellow competitors.
I'm sorry, I really didn't hear you.
Jimmy Johnson. He's not always most popular driver among fans because he wins so much.
Yep.
Among drivers, though, as a person and as a driver, what's his reputation?
Jimmy is, I don't know anyone that doesn't like Jimmy. I feel like he's the guy that you would like not to like because he does win all the time. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got great looking kids. He just kind of has everything, but he's just always so nice. And I have known him since 2000, I believe, when we were running the Busch Series together. And I've had some great moments with him prior to getting married. We've had a lot of fun times together. But I see him talking to, new guys that come to the sport, or maybe it's a rookie in the truck series. He's really nice to everyone. And I couldn't find anything bad to say about him. Really great guy.
Dan Creekmore with a hand in the air in the middle of it, and Lena's making her way there with the microphone.
Jamie, Stan Creekmore with Outside the Box. Okay, a fellow Missourian lays down his helmet, steps out of the car. Have you ever had the thought that you wanted to step outside of a car, being from Missouri as well?
I don't know that the state you're born in really has anything to do with the retirement factor. It seems like a pretty big stretch. I'm going to try to link those, but I don't think I can. No, I mean, I was completely taken back by Carl's decision. I think maybe there's someone in here that knew, but I was blindsided by that. And I mean, honestly, I hope that more comes of that story. I hope to learn. There's I didn't actually watch the press conference. I read some quotes from it just because I was curious, right? And I don't really know Carl well enough to call him, I feel like, and ask him outright. But I don't know. My gut tells me that maybe we'll hear more later on. But yeah, I was pretty taken back by that.
Darren?
Dale McFadden with NBC Sports. Going back to this year's changes, how much in the know were you and Kyle Larson kept in on the discussions around him through the off season? What was it like for you waiting to once again hear how your profession was changing?
Are you talking about the format change? So I think all the drivers were kept in the loop, whether it's through the group me text or message that we have kind of going on. Or through the team. I actually probably learned more through the team than I did on the text. And it was somewhat of a progressive discussion where some things that we talked about didn't happen, other things we didn't talk about did. So when the announcement came out, I already had a really good idea what was gonna happen. When I read Twitter, I got angry as I read the negativity around it from fans, because I think it's so hard to criticize something before you see it, right? We live in a world that I feel like people don't like change, and unless it's for the president. That was supposed to be funny, okay? That was supposed to be a really funny joke. I feel like Matt Kenseth right there at that moment. His jokes worked. Good for him. So I think change is hard, and I actually had a phone conversation with a friend that's involved in NASCAR that has been around for a long time, and he was kind of on that same page, and I called him out, and I'm like, I don't understand how you can be upset about it when we haven't even tried it yet. Because personally, I like everything about it. To me, it's what we needed, and so. I mean, I was somewhat involved in listening to it and hearing the different steps. So I think not just being hit with everything at one time, it wasn't quite as shocking as maybe what it was to a fan that didn't have any idea, and then it all came about.
Jim Utter made it back if you want to tell him. Bravo,
Where are you?
He's straight ahead of you.
God, I gave you props earlier. I did. Mm-hmm. I listened to you, I don't know when you did the interview, but I listened to you on the radio this morning give your description of why you like the new format change and the fact that we don't have as many engines blowing up, we don't have brake failures, that it's not necessarily about making it to the end of the races now because the equipment's so good, the teams are so good, the drivers are so good. And I thought that was the best description I'd heard so far. So nice work.
Can I ask you a question now?
I don't know.
JimUtterMotorsport.com.
You don't have to state your name.
That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Were you surprised that I kind of talked about this yesterday with some people, but everyone jokes that you can't get anyone to agree on anything in NASCAR. Were you surprised that all these different groups were able to come together and at least agree on some of the main tenets that would produce this? Because a lot of times there seem to be competing interests in NASCAR.
I'm not completely surprised. I feel like over the past 2 or 3 years, we've made a lot of changes to the car, and I feel like we've kind of worn that dial out, even though, in my opinion, we've went the right direction, just getting the mid-corner speeds down and getting tires that fall off a little bit more. So I think all that was great. This, to me, was just the next step. And it, from what I understand, from what I have been told, I think all of the teams that were involved with NASCAR and making the decisions, everyone was kind of pulling the rope the same direction. So I'm not completely shocked by that, because I think you had a large group of grown-ups in a room that all were trying to get the same thing accomplished.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time here with us, and we'll bring up Matt DiBenedetto in just a minute. Go Fast Racing, driver of the...
From last year, so...
Oh, okay. Last year's fire suit, this year's Go Fast number 32 driver.
Yeah, I'm multitasking, so I have the polo, or if we can superimpose stuff, I have the fire suit from last year.
Who's got the first question for Matt?
Oh, look at that.
They're still trying to
all raise your hands
absorb all
too quickly.
Here we go.
Zach, it's a very fun stretch. You've had a few people, looking at this season and looking at Go Fast, and they see some improvements, maybe in store for the team. So throughout this offseason, only has been a little bit, but what do you see when it comes to improvements, maybe compared to BK Racing?
Yeah, in all honesty, I've gotten a lot of mixed reactions for my move, deciding to leave BK Racing and moving on to the opportunity here at Go Fast. But, it's not what everybody, some folks are like, oh, they haven't ran well the past few years, and I got a little backlash from it, and then I also, in some cases, got a lot of support. So I'm looking forward to this year. It's what I've been telling everybody is, we're putting ourselves in a position to overachieve. We have some really, really good people. We have some new cars, and they are completely dedicated to turning that program around and running really competitive this year. So I'm really excited about it, because they really have invested a ton into it, and you're nothing without your people around you. And it's going to be funny actually going to Daytona, because I'm going to have my familiar ears and my, or familiar sounds in my ear. I'm going to have my crew chief, Gene Need, from last year. He came on in 2015, so he's sticking with me. My spotter, David Pepper. So we've been such a great combination. It's going to be fun to go over there and see what we can make out of it, because I know we're going to be a lot more competitive than maybe some folks would think.
Let's go here with our next question.
Dillon with NBC Sports. What have the last few months of this offseason been like for you, basically with the open secret that there will be changes to NASCAR's race and points format, and just what is your reaction to the news yesterday?
If I was summing it up in one word, would be just thrilling, because I think it's much needed. Same deal. You're going to get mixed reactions, but it was the coolest part was that it was such a collaborative effort. So I think everybody was pretty much on the same page. So moving in this year, it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be so much fun, and especially from giving my point of view on it, being maybe a smaller team, and looking into this format, it's going to give us some opportunities that maybe we didn't have before. So heck, if some guys are, the guys are racing the end of the segment, and we're like, hey, we can pit, and then when the segment ends, we could stay out and gain a bunch of track position, or if we can put ourselves in positions to do the opposite and have chances to be up front at the end of a segment or stage, I'm pretty excited about that. So much needed, and I'm excited about all the Monster coming in, and it's going to hopefully bring a younger group of fans to the sport. There's a lot of, it's cool to see how everyone's been working together in the direction that NASCAR is going. I'm more excited about it than ever.
Jeff Clough.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm very curious about your new public relations representative. It seems like
yes, good
unique
question.
Situation. How did this come about?
And Jeff, you always come up with really good questions. So, where's Ryan at? Oh, so Ryan, where are you? I can't see these lights. Oh, there's Ryan.
Yeah.
So Ryan Ellis is my, this has been a joke for years too, is the funniest part about it. So I've always told Ryan, I'm like, hey, you're one of my best friends, so I hope driving works out for you. We all know how tough of an industry it is though. I mean, I tell people me getting here is like winning the lottery 2 times in a row. But I've always said, hey, PR person Ryan, because he always would just do everything for me, and he's so good at working with people and just kind of winging everything. So that joke actually turned into a reality for this year. I'm excited to have Ryan working with me and doing our team's PR for this year. He's going to do a really good job at it. So he's pretty much done his own PR and self-promoted himself for so many years that he's going to be one of the best in the industry.
Let's go back here.
Yeah, I would say I mostly approached him, when we were just kind of casually, well, we joke about it all the time. This has been for years. So the joke just kind of came up, and then when we were chatting about it, he was like, man, I really don't have any racing plans for next year, nothing solid that I feel like would be a step forward. And then I was like, hey, okay, all joking aside, and it was hard to say it without laughing. I'm like, really, if you would like to do it, I think it would be a perfect fit, and you could help the team and bring a lot to the team. So that's how it worked out.
How do you think your career will advance changing from BK to Go Fast, and how many times have you stopped yourself from writing that T?
Moving into this year, I definitely wouldn't have done it if I didn't feel absolutely positive it was a step forward. So what I saw was an opportunity to go to a team and bring, my ability, and also not, I'm nothing without my people, like I said. So bringing myself and my ability, and then more importantly, all the folks, that surround me to turn this team around. So if we can all go in there and take a team that it wants and showed that they are, told us they are dedicated to running very competitive this year. So if we can go in and take that and run, significantly better than they have and be running really competitive, I think that's going to reflect on all of us, and it's going to, I don't think there's any better opportunity for the position I'm in.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. What potential do you see in yourself and in your team going into 2017?
So it's a lot different going into this year. Every year you feel so much more comfortable. My first year, you walk in and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Dale Jr. Oh, there's Tony Stewart. There's, all these guys that heck, if I'm being honest, I still have their memorabilia up in my office at home. So I just felt like a fan, and you're so kind of nervous. Now going into my third season, you're just more comfortable, and you're able to focus on putting every bit of your race together and perfecting your pit stops and little things. So confidence is everything. So when you go into a season so confident and having a working relationship with, some of the guys on my team and my crew chief and my spotter, you go in there with that confidence, and that's, that makes a huge difference.
Chase Wilhelm.
Chase Wilhelm, FoxSports.com. Speaking of your new PR guy, Mr. Ellis over there, he left his dog at your house for a day, and the dog got pink eye. What's the deal there?
Yeah, man, I'm apparently a bad dog sitter. I don't know what happened, because all we did was nap together all day. I did notice something on his eye, and I texted him and told him right away. I was like, hey, I noticed something on his eye, so it wasn't me. I'm not trying to hurt your dog. So Andy is my napping partner, though.
Chris.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Matt, I was just wondering if you could talk about your team owner, Archie St. Hilaire. He's really trying to make an emphasis and be more of a standing figure in the sport. What is it that attracted you to Go Fast, and what can you say about Archie?
Man, Archie, I've had the privilege of knowing actually for years, from when he was in the Xfinity Series and, now being in the Cup Series for multiple years. Archie is one of the most honest guys I know, and he keeps his word on everything he says, and I've known that characteristic about him. And he says, it comes from his French heritage. He is really a man of his word. So when he told me, when I was having those discussions with him, and he told me, hey, we need to run competitively, this is what we got, is what we're looking at. We would, like to have the combination of you and Gene, things like that. I knew what he says he means, so you can take it to the bank. So that's what I was really excited about, was knowing that, he was truly dedicated to running competitively. So that's, what enticed us to come in there and talk and come up with a game plan. And it all came together really quick, actually. I mean, I've never had a ride come together this fast in my life. It was, I think it really came together in darn near a week.
About one more question for him. Lewis.
Louis Frank of Reuters. Earlier, Kurt Busch said he was used to many laps of preseason testing. The big teams are able to use simulations, millions of dollars, et cetera, What do you guys do in the off season to compensate for some rules changes? You have a team change. What do you do?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different for us, versus some of the bigger teams having, I'm guesstimating, let's call it 400 employees or so. I think we have roughly 15. So it's definitely a smaller group. It's cool because we have 15 really good guys, so it makes a big difference. But yeah, as far as that stuff, they will be running a lot of simulation and have access to tools that we couldn't fathom having. We're doing it more of an old school way. But, my crew chief, Gene, says, while they're using all the simulation, we're using the common sense theory. But we do have to go on some older school principles. I mean, we have some of that stuff, a little bit of the basic simulation and things, so we know we'll be, in the ballpark, obviously. So, I mean, they still do a great job at that. But we were discussing that the other day, actually. It's a good question. And we're going to be using some of the first couple of races as that's it's going to be a little bit of a test for us. We're going to go to, let's say, Atlanta, figure out, okay, with this aero package, this is, we're going to change stuff and be like, this is the attitude or platform that it likes, and we're going to have stuff to figure out where other teams may, be quite a few steps ahead of us there. But we always do a good job in working together and doing it the old-fashioned way.
We have to keep on Ryan's schedule. Your time with us is done, and we got to keep you moving
Doing
along.
His job.
Thank you, cool. Matt DiBenedetto.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, bud. We've got Aric Almirola coming in here in just a moment or so. There he is. You don't need that. Gosh. Aric Almirola, driver of the
Y'all are going to get a
43.
suntan in here. Those lights are bright.
They are. It's killer. Who's first question? Where we got it? There we go, Bob Pockris.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. The off-season news was kind of downsizing from 2 cars to 1. Can you try to convince us how that can be a good thing?
I don't have to convince you, Bob. My job is not to convince anybody of what's good and what's bad, but I can just tell you the facts. And the facts is that it was imperative for us to get our focus and put all of our resources and all of our energy and all of our effort into one thing. Over the last couple of years, we have been a little bit diluted, and so to be able to take this opportunity, is not what we wanted as a race team by any means, but sometimes in life you get lemons and you have to make lemonade, right? And so this gives us the opportunity to do that. It gets us centrally focused on one car, and we retained a lot of employees, and so now it's all hands on deck on that 43 car, and we're going to make every effort to get that car back running the way it needs to run. It's no secret that last year, 2016, was not a good season for us. It's just a reality. But 2017 is a new year, and we've got to take advantage of what's ahead of us. And I feel like by us scaling back to one car gives us that opportunity to do that. Rather than to try and piecemeal a second car together. There was a few opportunities out there for us to put a second car on the racetrack, but it wasn't going to be at a high quality, and the management at Richard Petty Motorsports thought that it would be in our best interest to not do that and to really focus all of our attention on getting our performance back to where it needs to be. So I commend them for that, and I'm looking forward to getting our race car back up front. We have a lot of great sponsors. That's one of the amazing things about our race team is that,
even though our performance was not what we wanted last year, we still have sponsors that are incredibly committed to us, and I'm so thankful and so fortunate for that. And we owe it to them, if not just ourselves, to get our performance back to where it needs to be.
Hill Overton.
Aric Hill, Overton, WIXC Radio. I understand that you guys are no longer building your own chassis at RPM. Who have you outsourced chassis to, and how far down the road are they prepared to head now?
Okay, so we're back in the beginning. We're sort of in the infancy stages of that, but we've continued and sort of upped our ante with our technical alliance with Roush Fenway Racing. And so we're continued to be aligned with them, and they've brought a lot of new people in. They've really heavily staffed their engineering department and their infrastructure on that side of things, and they've got new designs for race cars and a lot of really cool and great things going on. And so it was really good timing for us to, coming off the year we just came off of, to really focus on what we do well. And over the past several years leading up to last year, we were really good at supplementing. We took what Roush gave us and worked on it and tuned on it ourselves, fluffed and buffed it, if you will, and we took it to the racetrack. And then we kind of went out on a limb and started doing more and more and more on our own. And we almost got to the point to where we spread ourselves too thin, really. I mean, our resources were limited. And not just financially, but manpower, equipment, and things like that. And we had gotten to where we probably overstretched our boundaries. And so for us, it's really been about coming back together, focusing. We've scaled back to one car, but then focusing on what we do best. And we don't have an engineering staff of 70 or 80 engineers like the race teams we race against, but Roush does. And so for us to be able to pull from that resource and piggyback off of the knowledge and the people and resources that they have, and then bring their cars into our shop and go from there and get them ready to go race, I think is going to get us back to kind of where we were 2 years ago when we were really competitive.
Stan
Creekmore with Outside the Box. Aric, which of the four drivers do you stay in contact with to try to help?
Did you say four or Ford?
Ford, F-O-R-D.
Okay.
Drivers, do you stay in contact with to help you continue to grow as a driver?
I think that's the one really cool thing about Ford Performance and Ford Motor Company is that they have made every effort to make one Ford, and we talk about that. We have dinner events with all the Ford drivers, and we have team outing events, and we've done everything from go and shoot each other with paintball guns out in in Pennsylvania to going to dinner together and things like that. And it's really brought us as a whole to closer, and Dave Parasak from Ford Performance has been at the head of that, and then also Raj Nair. And so they're focused just as much on building the connections and bonds as us drivers and with them on the personnel side as much as they are with the performance of the vehicle and the engineering of the vehicle. And I think that's gone a long way for us. And so I feel really connected to all the Ford drivers. We have a lot of, dinner events and then informal and formal meetings together to where I feel comfortable. I can talk to Joey, Brad. I can talk to the Roush Fenway drivers. Obviously, we have a technical alliance with them, so that's an easy connection. And then the Stewart-Haas thing is new, and that's fresh. But I think as time evolves and we get going through this year, that will come, pretty naturally, like the Penske thing did as well.
Jordan Bianchi.
Jordan Bianchi, SBNation.com. You are close with Jimmy Johnson. You guys are good friends, and he's well respected and well liked in the garage. Do you wish fans would be able to see that a little bit more from him and become more accepted? Because the boos are still there. They're becoming less and less, but they're still there.
No, I think it's fine. I mean, I'm under the impression that I don't really care what anybody else thinks about Jimmy Johnson. All I care about is I have my opinion of him, right? And so we're friends. I've
built a relationship with him over the years in the sport, and I consider him a great friend, and he's an incredible guy. But it's not my job to sell the crowd or the media or the fans on being a Jimmy Johnson fan. So from that aspect, I don't. If he gets boos, I'll laugh and carry on. It doesn't ruin my day. So the fans can think what they want. He is a great guy. He's a fierce competitor. But out of anybody in that garage area, if you were freezing cold and all you had was a T-shirt on and you needed a jacket, Jimmy Johnson would probably be the one guy from that garage area that would offer you his jacket and take it off. And I think that speaks volume about who he is.
You return to your home state, a track you've got success at, a lot of new things and opportunities to really start the season off right. How much are you looking forward to getting down to Florida?
I always look forward to going to Florida. First of all, I don't like the cold weather. Like I've lived in North Carolina going on 13 years now, and I have yet to get accustomed to this cold weather, running the heat in the house all the time, drying your skin, your nose out. I don't like it. I'm used to humidity, sunshine, swimming in the pool, being outside. And, so I look forward to going to Florida for that first before anything else. And then obviously getting ready for the Daytona 500, the biggest race of the year. I love it. I love Daytona. It's such a special place for me. I've gotten a win there in July in the Cup Series. I've won an Xfinity race there last year. So Daytona's been really good to me. And it's such a special place because as a kid, that's where I grew up going to watch races, watch NASCAR races. Every December, we drove over for Daytona Kart Week, and we raced at the little go-kart track outside of Daytona. And I would go as a kid and look at the big racetrack and just in awe and dream about, racing at that racetrack. So now I've got that opportunity. I've got 2 trophies from there, but I need that Harley J. Earl trophy to kind of finish out the trophy case.
One more question we have time for. I think they're going to give you about 30 seconds off early here.
All right, I'll take it.
Aric Almirola, driver of the 43.
Oh, Heather's down here. She wants me to talk about our Fresh from Florida announcement, right? So we announced that Fresh from Florida is coming back as a primary sponsor for us. They're going to sponsor one of our Cup races, I think, at Talladega in May or April, whenever the Talladega race is in the spring. Fresh from Florida is going to sponsor us at that race, and then they're also going to sponsor 4 or 5 Xfinity races, starting with the Daytona Xfinity race. So really looking forward to having them back as a partner. Obviously, I am fresh from Florida, so to have a sponsor like Fresh from Florida is really cool. And then growing up in Florida, I understand and I know firsthand what Florida agriculture means to the state. And besides the fact that their produce is amazing, that they've grown that program over the years with our race team to selling it all over the Southeast, and they specifically label their stuff in the grocery stores with Fresh from Florida labels on it. So if you buy something with a Fresh from Florida logo on it, not only are you supporting me and allowing me to go drive a race car, you're supporting the Florida agriculture and all the farmers and growers in the state of Florida, which means a lot to me coming from Florida. And then on top of that, they've just launched a program to where they're going to be in 40 Walmarts in Florida from now till the Daytona 500. So you can go to any Walmart in Florida and look for all the Fresh from Florida campaign around the racing program.
Appreciate it. Very nice. Aric Almirola.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Heather's happy, all of us happy, and we have about a half hour or so, 27 minutes after the hour, we'll